Yo! Is anybody around? Are we live? Oh, we're live. Did anybody show up? All right. It's going to be an interesting little stream, I think. A little bit code stuff, but we're going to talk about this GME thing. It's kind of funny. I thought it would be worthy of discussion. Worthy of discussion. So, we're going to wait for enough people to get on board, and then I'm going to jump into the subject at hand. Let me get this camera like this. Well, we'll leave it like this for now. So, how you guys doing? Let me know. Get on tell me where you're from in this world, and say, coming to you from Morocco, coming to you from Berlin, coming to you from California, etc., etc. I always like to know where people are checking in from. So this is going to be interesting. Little live broadcast. I'll do a Q&A in the end, of course, because everybody wants the Q&A. We're going to talk about GME, the shorts versus the shorts versus retail. Then I want to get into a few other things about diminished returns on equipment and cameras and code. Any code questions you may have as well. Me too. Long Beach, California. Los Angeles. A couple LA people. Very cool. Hello, 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 hello. Hope everybody is well. I'm just waiting for BC, Canada. Oh yeah, hey, how you doing, Rob? How you doing? Alabama, very cool. Houston, Toronto, International. I don't know where that is. Heat Visual is just a little north of you. Ohio, cool. I have a theory with PHP, all right. Canada for now, but heading to the moon. Old dang, Dev Jess. All right, so. Hope everybody is cool. I'm waiting for New York City. Hey, Matt. I'm waiting for enough people to get on. I'm going to jump into the subject. I have a little experience with regards to crazy trading action like this. About a decade ago, I was involved in this kind of thing vis-a-vis Blockbuster. So I'll be able to give you some insight. This is pretty funny stuff. Like, this is really funny stuff, by the way. And since I teach money management and how to take your coding cash and to, parlay it into a position so that you don't have to work later on. Yeah, I figured it would be something I would cover. Australia, very cool. So I'm waiting for the usual 70 or so people to get on. Once the stream starts going, we usually get 100, 200 people, sometimes 300 people. Pittsburgh. All right, so let me know who's here now. How many of you have been following this GME Gamestop battle of the stock release recently? It's pretty wild stuff. So let me just shrink this for now, and then we'll get back into that. Let me know. I was just thinking tech and how I need to sign up for your classes ASAP. Then pop, you go live. There you go. There you go. It's a sign from the universe. When I search, there are as many Python as PHP jobs, but very few people seem to be learning or teaching PHP in recent times. Would it be smart to master PHP first, meet the demand, and get gigs first? I always say you choose your tech based on, number one, gigs available, number two, the requirements of the job, depending on where you are at. Okay? All right, SoCal, joined mentoring a few weeks ago, still working through courses. Cool. Yeah, take your time. No hurry. You move as quickly or slowly as you like. Alana here, I did have one small question. Of all the things that could take off, why isn't everything using their own web component? Why isn't everyone using their own web components? I'm not sure if I understand that question. Me. Elon tweeted after hours and it pumped it to 250. That's so funny. Hi. Hey, how you guys? How you guys doing? How you guys? In for 55 shares and enjoying the ride. Very cool. We're almost at our 70. When we hit the 70 threshold, I'm just going to jump into a few I'm going to frame this up, and then I'm going to talk about what's going on behind the scenes, and I'll talk about how I saw this kind of thing, not nearly as volatile as this, but I saw this kind of thing a decade ago when Blockbuster was on the chopping block as well. So we're almost there, 54. If you got any questions, ask. I'm just waiting for about 70 people before I get into the main subject. and then we'll move on. Yeah, there's a lot of cool things. Like, for example, let me show this. All this stuff here. Hold on, let me just get rid of this. Boom, boom, boom. All right, so we got, you don't need to see me here. Bunch of articles that are kind of funny. Here's why GameStop store today. GameStop shares almost double again as retail investors poke Wall Street bears. There seems to be a battle going on. GameStop short sellers have lost $5 billion this year as Reddit day traders army squeeze their bearish bets. This is something very interesting here, this whole Reddit thing. I haven't looked deep into it, but my friend's been involved in this, and I'm going to just chime in on that just a little bit, you know. But before we get there, let's see what else we got doing. Well, the SEC intervened. I don't think so, because I thought about that, because as long, you're not allowed to do insider stuff, secret stuff, but if it's all out in the open, I think it's allowed, right? As far as I know. I'm not a lawyer, but as far as I know, you know. The fear of spending time learning the wrong language as a noob, even though there's no wrong language, our brains are a pain at times. Yeah, it's lizard wizard stuff. That's spread out by a lot of young noobling nerds out there who, you know, a lot of YouTubers clearly don't have much experience in the industry, if any at all. And the fact of the matter is, when you are an experienced developer, you're pivoting from one language to the next on a regular basis. Well, you may spend a few years on this and a year on this, and a few, you know, especially if you're freelancing. And you can't really learn a wrong language because, you know, if, let's say, you spend all your time, you learn Python, Django, it becomes, then you have to get a job working in, I don't know, Express.js and Node. You'll be able to pivot there, and, you know, within a week or two at most, you know. What do you think about the future of blockchain development, niche or like COBOL? It's niche, not COBOL, niche. COBOL is maintenance code, right? They're not doing any innovations in COBOL. They're not building anything new, as far as I understand. I think they're just maintaining old systems. Whereas blockchain, they're going to be building new stuff, you know? All right, how are we doing for people? Oh, we're almost there. Okay, we're getting there. Stef, I'm 19 years old, web developer. I've been programming for 3 years. Any advice how I can stand out when applying? Yeah, make sure, first of all, make sure your communication skills are on point. Make sure what you present to them is, in terms of the projects you've done, is very nice looking, you know, right off the top of my head. I think I have a video where I talk about that. Look in my YouTube collection, something for you. Let's see, we'll get a little closer in here. All right, there we go. What else? Okay, so scant on the questions. So I just, you know, I guess I'll just jump into it. So we're going to be talking about this, GameStop, today. And GameStop is a company that I think is on its last legs, but for some reason they got this group of vigilante Redditors, I suppose, and other people are jumping on to kill the short sellers. So what's a short seller? A short seller is somebody, usually a more sophisticated trader. A lot of hedge funds will short. They basically bet on the shares going down in value. And the way they do that, they have to borrow shares from some financial institution, and then they pay interest on those shares, and then they sell the shares right away. And what they hope is that the shares go down in value so that they can sell them. They can sell them back in the market. Excuse me. They can buy them back in the market at a much lower price. So let's say they bought GameStop at $100 a share. They short sell them. They sell them into the market at $100, and then they hope to drive it down to $50, and then they buy them back at $50, and they make $50, right? That's what short selling is. Very simple representation of what it is. Now the thing is that short sellers are hoping the shares go down, but they keep going up, and as they go up and up and up and up and up, it becomes more and more. They can lose more and more money. So what has historically short selling? A lot of hedge funds will do that kind of stuff. They'll raid companies, short the hell out of things, drive the price down, weaken the company quite a bit, knock out a lot of retail investors. And then they'll just get out, make a ton of money, and laugh. Ha, 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 ha. So now what's happened is that you've got a whole bunch of small investors who collectively have a huge amount of power. And this is what they're doing. They're nailing the short sellers. So they're buying the stock. And what happens is there's a limited amount of stock that's on the market that can be bought, right? And, you know, so what short sellers can do, though, is they can borrow shares that don't even exist, right? So right now, and short the stock that way, which people find kind of nefarious. So right now what's happening is, last time I checked, apparently 139% of the total float has been short sold, meaning over 39% more shares than actually exist have been sold short, which is crazy. So they're trapped. So what the Redditors are doing, are pile in, driving the stock higher. And as the price goes higher, these guys are losing more and more money. That's why they've lost billions of dollars. So I saw this, that was what a major complaint 10 years ago when I was to trade a bit. Not day trade, but I would trade. I saw this. I'd see these obviously hedge funds would pile in, boom, and knock things down. It was very nerve-wracking. So now they're getting a taste of their own medicine, which is pretty funny. So that, in a nutshell, what's going on here. So let's look at that stock. I'll make this thing disappear. Hold on, make this thing disappear. Boom. So this is the action. I just took a screenshot of this like 2 minutes ago, or about 10 minutes ago. So you can see during the day, the stock went up 92%. 92%. And after hours, I guess apparently because Elon Musk said something, it went up another 50%. So the short sellers are like dying here. They're dying here. So I don't know how long this is going to go. Some people have made huge fortunes in short periods of time. I don't know how long this is going to go. I don't know if it's going to shoot up some more or it's going to crash down. Apparently earlier today, it crashed down to like, started losing value. And then it shot back up 100% almost. It's crazy, crazy. I've never seen this kind of volatility. What's this? Hey, y'all, time to launch. Lots of thumbs for Stef. Hey, that's pretty good. I appreciate that. Thank you. I like the thumbs up. It helps get the attention to the videos. It makes this a lot more fun. It's called a short squeeze when it goes up like that. Indeed it is. Why is it called a short squeeze? Because it's like think of a tube of toothpaste and you're squeezing. And it forces the price up because you get a limited number of shares to buy back. So the shorts, they've pre-sold their shares, right? So for shorts, they got to buy those shares back at one point. So as the shares keep going up in value and they start panicking, and they start trying to buy those shares back, it keeps driving up the stock up in value. And since people are buying and buying, and since so many shares have been shorted already, there's a limited supply, so it shoots the price up, so it squeezes the price up. That's what that's all about. Right, so if an app has thousands of codes, I guess thousands of lines of code, how to understand all these codes to work with, or we don't need to understand everything before fixing bugs or before to add feathers? Very good question. Well, it depends how well the application was designed. Sometimes the applications are so badly designed that you're going to have to not touch any of that underlying code and do something called facade. Look up the facade design pattern. I remember I was talking to a lead developer at Microsoft back in the day, 20 years ago, and I asked him, how come Word, Microsoft Office, for example, went from 300 meg install to 1 gig install? How could it grow so much? And he said the reason that happened is because they didn't want to touch the underlying code because it was such a mess, because they would post something here, it would break something somewhere else. So they would just write code on top of it. And that's why it got heavier and heavier and slower, and that's why it required more CPU and processor and RAM to run. So that's what you might have to do in that situation. Hey Stef, do you invest in cryptocurrencies? More power to your channel. I appreciate it. No, I have in the past. I bought Litecoin machines, we mined them, etc., but not recently. No, I missed a big run up, unfortunately, for me. Let's see, Zachariah. Well, is budget of client high enough? Then it's okay. Just debug until client is ready to pay up. Yeah, that's another way of looking at it as well. What's going on? Can you speak to short ladder manipulation that we may have been seeing? Basically, high frequency managers selling back and forth to each other for lower and lower bids in rapid succession. Yeah, all this kind of nefarious, we'll say gray area activity is going on. I don't know what's going on these days, but it's, as a general rule, I suggest to people, 90% of people who trade lose. 90% of people who trade lose. Yeah, there are a few winners here and there, but it's a very dangerous activity because you got these full-time people who are hooked up with high frequency machines. They got insider information. They can manipulate and move markets. But this Reddit thing is kind of weird in the sense that that you got this group of, if you got 100,000 retail investors, each with $5,000, they can push a market around, especially in small cap stocks. Small cap stocks are stocks that are not worth much. Like Apple is the biggest. Big cap means capitalization. It's worth a trillion. Small cap would be under $1 billion. They can be manipulated, right? So it won't stop. I won't stop at GameStop. I won't shop at GameStop. I won't shop at GameStop. No. The whole thing that's going on with GameStop has nothing to do with the viability of the company. Like zero. A zero with the viability. The company is not viable. It's a blockbuster. But that's not the point of this. The whole point of this is that you got a group of people who are saying, oh yeah, we're going to nail these hedge fund guys. And they're just piling in. That's it. It's not about underlying viability of the business, because there's nothing there, because their business was video games, but now you just go to you go to the PlayStation Store or Microsoft, and you just download the bloody game, right? No. Laugh my ass off. Back in the day, 20 years ago, Grandmaster of Programming. There we go. Well, okay, what's going on here? Do you think we should use frameworks that are owned by big tech, especially all the censorship going on? I know frameworks are not subject to censorship if you're deploying them on your own servers and you have control over them. If you're using a third-party service like AWS, then you got an issue there. So the censorship thing, I'm against it as a general rule, because freedom of speech is the foundation of everybody's freedoms, and so you got to protect the speech that people don't like. That being said, if you're not involved in any of the politics or any of that kind of stuff that could get you banned, then you're okay. You're not going to be in trouble. People call GameStop manager and say to him that we can build a website for them. Yeah, so there you go. So right now, when you look at the whole GameStop thing, it's a battle. It's purely a battle. I've read some of the posts on the Reddit subforum on the investing. It's pretty funny stuff. And as a guy who used to trade, it's all just gambling and craziness. It's pretty exciting. But I wouldn't get involved were you. My advice as your Uncle Nerd, if you go to that market, if you go to that gambling casino called the stock market and GameStop and any of these things, you use money that you can afford to lose. It's like going to a racetrack. You might win, but assume that you lose that money. Otherwise, you can find yourself in deep, deep trouble. Is it normal for someone to grasp Python quicker than JavaScript and Node.js, even though they learned JavaScript and Node.js before Python? Yeah, that's very normal, because you learn JavaScript and Node, so you've gotten the basics of functions, arrays, and variables, and control flow control, and conditional statements. So you learned all these things in JavaScript. So when you get to Python, you already know it. As I said, the second language is significantly easier to learn than the first, and the third language is even easier. And after you've done 3 to 4 languages, it becomes really trivial. Like I used to learn a new language in just a couple of days, and I was off to the races, okay? Hertz 2.0, I'm not sure what that means, but I'll put it anyway. What's going on? My son is on the Reddit and had money in there. Did he make any money, Matthew? Did he make any money? It was a short squeeze. People lose money on trade due to their position size. Yeah. It's very, very, very tricky, that kind of stuff. Why do interviewers care so much about algorithms and data structures? Depends on the company. I think it's become just a silliness. It's weird. We're herd creatures, by the way. Humans. We're like penguins. Generally, we're like horses and sheeple. So if one group of people start saying algorithms, then the other HR departments pick up on that. Algorithms. Even if you probably never use algorithms, with some exceptions. That's it. As I say, you interview the company before you go in for the interview. You better know what they want and then prepare for that. But in my experience, going back to the 90s, most development, you're never going to do algorithms. It's basic data structure is all you're going to need. How would one LE? I don't know what LE is. I'm a skilled FE dev. Joined a dream job at a major Canadian bank ventures companies as a WordPress dev. How do I navigate getting into the React full stack role? Now learning React and full stack. Well, just do work. Start putting out stuff, and then when you're competent and you can show your manager, hey, look what I did, I can do it, no problem, then they'll pay attention to you. Sergeant Camacho, how are you, man? Do you think digital services will prevail over person-to-person services? Digital services will prevail. Oh, that's going to take time. It's going to take time. So, for example, I have a friend of mine. They started a company that's very successful now, and they're a unicorn by the looks of it. And they provide tutoring services, but they still have to use live tutors. So they use AI technology to route tutoring requests intelligently. But at the end of the day, they have a big staff of live tutors. So I think it's going to come over time. It's going to take time. Microsoft partnered with them to keep them afloat. GameStop's management needs to go to jail for defrauding customers. Well, maybe. I don't know. I don't know the details about GameStop. All I know is I've just seen this crazy trading activity, Python is easier to learn than JavaScript. I would say that. That's also a factor as well. How would one sell their software to a major company? Very difficult, because these days the value of an app is really the user base, not so much the software anymore. Unless it's a very unusual software, very sophisticated, very hard to reproduce. The proof of the software's success really is in its user base. So you got to build a user base. It's not like what it used to be. Anyway, what else can I tell you? Let's just jump into something. Let's see what's going on. See what's going on here. Dow Jones future GME stock rockets on Elon Musk tweet. GameStop price and news surge on Reddit. Wall Street bets talk. The meme stock wars continue as GME jumps again. Forex live. Nokia joins GameStop. BlackBerry as Reddit trader favorite. Oh, there you go. There you go. Yes. So people are starting to finally pick up on this whole GameStop play. We'll see. We'll see if there's a big battle between the retail investors and the non-retail investors. We'll see how that goes. I want to show you guys something real quick. So I have, as you know, I'm using a very expensive cinema camera here. And I also have, so look at here's photos. So this photo with one camera, another camera, and another camera. Can you see the difference? Can you see the difference? So one of these are my cinema camera, and one of these is my iPhone, right? Look at that. Talk about law of diminishing returns, right? Isn't it wild, right? So long story short, this is iPhone. This is cinema camera. This is iPhone. And now cinema camera is, it's about 10,000 US dollars. This is iPhone. So 1,000, well, not even, and 10,000. So there you go, law of diminishing returns. So as a guy who just bought his cinema camera, well, another one, and I'm starting to think I won't be buying any more cinema cameras anymore. It's pretty amazing. There we go. Thoughts on playing video games in general? That's fine. Just don't let it go. Don't drive you. Don't spend hours on it. Hey, I have an important question. Is Java plus Spring Boot a good way into web dev in Europe, anywhere in the world? Just look at the market, man. Just look at the jobs in whatever part of the world you want to get a job, and check it out. Some places that'd be a great stack to learn. Other places, C#.net may be a great stack. This is something for people who want to work for large organizations, right? What else is there? I've been trying to pull myself away from programming sometimes to avoid burnout. That's a good idea. but I can never relax because I always think I'm wasting my time when I'm not learning programming. Arrgh. Well, no, you got to give yourself time to rest. You give your brain time to rest, just like a trainer, a bodybuilder, an athlete. They have to give themselves times to rest to let their body repair. You have to give your brain time a little bit of rest to assimilate the new knowledge. So no. Consider it part of the process. Consider part of the process. Maybe if you don't want to code, you get into learning about the design patterns. Or maybe just do superficial reading about the different languages that are out there. So. Yeah, see, it's wild, what you can do with the iPhone. I don't know if it looks better, but maybe, I don't know. We'll see. Hold on. Again, there we go. Look at that, eh? That's iPhone. That's iPhone. That's $10,000 cinema cameras. Shot at the same time. iPhone, cinema camera. It's pretty wild what you can get now with an iPhone. The key, of course, to all this is lighting. Something I always tell people when it comes to just about everything, whether it be fighting, martial arts, boxing, MMA, comes to programming, comes to business, comes to videography, the foundational concepts and skills are always key. You can make an iPhone look amazing if you just light it well, as I did, right? And lighting is the key. I spent the day cleaning up code on my app. Yeah, you got to do that sometimes. What's up with the Gamestop? Well, we're talking about this. Hold on. Boom. We're talking about the Gamestop battle here. So you see, Gamestop, which I would argue is not a viable business, next year or a year later. But you have all these retail investors basically hammering hedge funds and shorting this and buying the stock up and nailing these shorts. So this is the action for today, which is not normal for any stock. 92% in a day, and then after hours, another 50%. And they're just nailing the Wall Street hedge funds who are shorting the stock. It's a bit of a battle. So it has nothing to do with the fundamentals of GameStop. It has everything to do with just a Wall Street battle, I suppose. You would characterize it. That's what's up with GameStop. Let's see. Do you think old programming language will come back to like sports cards did in the 2021? I don't think the older programming languages ever disappeared. I think Python is like 20 years old. Python is 20 years old. Java is 25 years old. PHP is 20 years old. C++ is 30, 40 years old. SQL, 30, 40 years old. It's not a programming language, but still it's a widely used coding language. C#, I think, is 20 years old. So none of the old languages, they dominate, Hey, thanks for the super chat. Thank you for the career value. No, I appreciate it. All right. Coffee on Thynox. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I got stalkers, all right. I got stalkers. What phone camera are you shooting on? Quality looks good. I'm shooting now on a cinema camera. Right now, what you're looking at now is a professional Canon C300 cinema camera. Don't get me wrong, it has a lot of capability with the iPhone. It doesn't have, of course. But if you understand lighting well, you can make a non-cinema camera. You can make a phone look good. Like here we go. This is iPhone. This is iPhone. This is cinema camera, shot at the same time. Now, of course, this is very compressed. This is on the web. This is a stream. You're not going to see the big difference. But, a lot of people just deliver on the web. So this is an iPhone. But I I had good lighting going on here. You see the big light on the side. I'm facing it. And this is a cinema camera. So as you can see, a lot of diminishing returns are kicking in there. Lafayette used to work on Bay Street. Oh, there you go. So you understand. Bay Street is Toronto's Wall Street. So yeah, it's crazy, man. These guys, these Redditors, I don't know how many there are. It could be 100,000. They're saying, "Oh yeah, we're gonna take you out," and boom. It's like You know, if you got 100,000 people coming in with $2,000-3,000, it starts to become significant, right? How many tech books do you read a year to be up to date? Well, I don't read anymore. When I used to, because I'm not a coder anymore, I run my SaaS and I manage things. I'm a crusty old nerd, doesn't need to do that anymore. But I used to spend $3,000 to $4,000 a year on tech books back in the 90s. So that, in today's dollars, that's like $30,000 a year. That's a joke. It's more like $5,000 a year. But nonetheless, you spend a lot of money on these sick tech books to learn new stuff. I've literally read hundreds of them, and I'm not exaggerating that, hundreds. It was very fun for me. Okay, so I'll get into this. So if you're a total noob, I do this every time. This is my book. This is web design, so I wrote this book. You get it on Amazon, links below, shameless plug. If you're a total noob, this is HTML, CSS. It gets you going with the web. And if you know your foundations of coding and you want to level up your game real quick, I highly recommend this book. There's two versions. This is the Java version, and there's also a JavaScript version. Links below as well. Refactoring. This will level up your game much more than taking tutorials or anything else. But you got to know your basics before you jump into this. Yeah, and there's also another book down there. It's something on something called design patterns. Design patterns is another very important thing that if you want to level up your game as a developer, that's what you got to learn. So there's the book stuff for you. Josh says, how long do you think the GME stock or rise will go for? I have no clue. It's all psychology. It's all motions. It's all dynamics. It could go back and forth for another couple of weeks. It could fizzle out tomorrow. I don't know. So buyer beware. Be very careful. If you follow your course about freelancing from scratch, you think I will make it as a freelancer owning my own company in Europe? Yeah, for sure. Why not? It has everything that you need. A lot of people have done it. You know, I provide all the tools from how to acquire clients, the contracts, the tracking templates. I teach you how to manage a project, how to manage the clients. All these things are very important. So it's all in there. All right. Heard that companies that use Perl are having trouble finding junior devs. Have you heard anything on that? No, I have not, but I would not be surprised because Perl is, it used to be like such an important language in the 90s. It fell out of favor for a bunch of reasons, but I wouldn't be surprised. The Reddit has 2.4 million people now. Median account is 4,000. Holy Jesus. That's a train. That's a train. That's a lot of power there. There you go. Thanks for that, man. I appreciate it, Matt. Any opinions on Super Collider or any other sound-based languages? No, I have not looked at that. Sorry, guy. Any C# book resources you recommend? No, I would just go to Amazon, just see what the reviews are. Pick the big one. 69 people. You guys hit the like button. All right, I appreciate that. The Queen has spoken. Yeah, that's come on. That's and 2 thumbs down. Realizing that you are today 169-year-old master of lizard wizards, how old were you when you first began to realize that you were a crusty old nerd? Oof. Unfortunately, a long time ago. You get crusty and old when you hit about 100, right? So it's 69 years ago. So yeah. So any other questions? That was it. That was my whole Reddit thing. I just wanted to give a quick overview. If you're coming to the stream late, you can watch the replay. Thanks. I appreciate the thumbs up and the super chat, by the way. I can get myself a nice Starbucks coffee tomorrow. It's much appreciated. It really is, actually. Any other questions? How are we doing for time here? 30 minutes, not bad. Richard Stallman. Who's Richard Stallman? Okay, let's see. Do you believe objective morality exists? Ooh, that's a pretty good philosophical question there. That's a hard one to answer because one's perceptions of reality are heavily weighed by our perceptions, by our lizard brains and our biases, you know? How can devs get better at problem solving? Any recommendations? Yeah, divide and conquer. If you have a very complex problem in your code base, try to isolate things into components and then start testing out those isolated components. That's one of the reasons why object-oriented programming became en vogue. It became important because you can do that. You could more easily, anyway, you can have badly written OO code, by the way, but you can more easily divide your application into logical components so that when you do run into bugs, with proper error trapping and so forth, you can isolate where the bug is coming from more easily. They look the same to me. Yeah, that's it in terms of the photos. Exactly. It's again, it's very compressed. Like the image coming out of this camera, if you put it on the screen, it's going to look much better. It's going to look cinematic if you use it right. But I'm telling you, man, since most people consume their content on screens, little screens, phones and stuff, what non-hype language would you say devs could learn to let them stand out from others? It's not so much the language, dude. It's more of your ability to write clean, simple code. You want to stand out, get the book on refactoring. That's a big thing, number one. Number two, understand design patterns. Again, links below in the description under the video. And number three is have very good communication skills, written and verbal. That is going to make you stand out, not learning some specific language. Have you seen BlackBerry set to be the next GameStop? Yeah, I heard about that. They're looking at targeting BlackBerry now. Yes, it was a funny, I should have saved it, but I read an article. It was one of the finance sites. They said BlackBerry is spiking, and they asked the company, why is it spiking? And they said, we don't know. We have no idea. It's the bloody Redditors. How many Redditors were there? He told me it's like a million of them or something. There we go. 2.4 million people now, so they can spike almost any stock. Power to the people. Power to the people. That's what it is. So, you might be true. That might be true. What's going on here? What technology is used in money transactions in one's website? For example, you can order food online at several mom and pop restaurants in my area. You can use any server-side technology to do that. It doesn't, it's not everything from C# to Java to Python to JavaScript to PHP, even Ruby. It's all doable. What makes you stand out as a developer in a company or just in general? Great communication skills, writing clean code, simple code. There's the book. There's the book. There's the book. GameStop, BlackBerry. Are we in 2010? I think that summarizes it pretty well, Camacho. But it's not about the underlying value of the company. A lot of times, for short periods of times, stocks don't necessarily reflect their true value. And this is an example of this. Do you think blockchain development will become a huge thing in the future? Not huge, but it will be there in the future, but not huge. Would I be correct in saying that learning C# instead of PHP would be more advantageous in getting a company job? Depends on the company. You got to just go to the job sites and look up the job listings in your area and see what the demand is. Just see what the demand is. I think that will tell you a lot. If you're looking to work for a big company, then C# and Java will be probably the best choice. If you're looking for small company development, small development for small companies rather, WordPress stuff, small e-commerce implementation, then PHP would be better probably, as would JS. There you go. Take the IBM Cognitive class to learn blockchain. All right, so any other questions? That's it for today's stream. 40 minutes, long enough. I think we got enough in. Thanks for the thumbs up. I appreciate it. Thanks for joining the stream. I just wanted to jump on this GameStop thing. As a guy who used to trade, I find that this stuff was pretty entertaining. Oh, another super chat. Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. Wow. All right, 2 coffees. Buying your Python course right now. Thanks. Hey, I appreciate it, Hector. Thanks a lot. Yeah, what's your thoughts on WordPress development? A lot of money in that. A lot of small companies, although they have WordPress sites, they have a hard time finding WordPress professionals. And so there's a lot of money to be made in that because a lot of devs don't want to do WordPress. So did I cover all my things? Diminishing returns, the camera. Yeah. Oh, by the way, my fabled Lizard Wizard course, the Lizard Wizard, this is my very advanced site course. I actually finished it. It's actually live for the mentoring group, and I'm going to be putting it live sometime this week, early next week, for people to watch. All right, buenos noches, everybody. So says Didi. Thanks, Sergeant. Thanks for joining the stream. I appreciate everybody joining in. It's cool. I enjoy doing these live streams. That's why I do them. And yeah, that's about it. So I'll end off with my ASMR main video of the ocean. I always like that. If you're feeling a little uptight, this video is going to be it's going to be cool for you. So, all right, we'll get into that right now. See you guys. Cheers.